I'd ask more questions if there's time, but I'll look to the chair.
Thank you very much, Senator Patrick. I just have a quick two questions that I want to ask Mr Carmody. So just following on from 138, part 138, so CASA staff are going to be really busy if they're going to be ready for the implementation of part 138 by December 2021. And if we work backwards from that date, do you think there is time for them to implement the regulations, get out training, make business decisions on what they need to do? This is industry I'm talking about. Develop their ops manuals, particularly given the consistency issue that we've just gone through, have the ops manuals accepted, approved, negotiated, and receive their correct certificates or AOCs, or have them amended, given the Part 61 introduction experience? Or are we going to end up in December 21 having to kick it down the road because, with the pandemic and everything else that was happening, this was never going to be achievable?
Senator, thank you for the question. The complicated regulatory suite, which is the one that we've delivered over the last 3 years, are the ops regs. They're the most difficult and complex of the regs. Included in that, they were all delivered and they will come into effect into implementation in December 2021. We made a commitment to industry that we would provide them with a full 12 months of transition. So they've been consulted on the content of the regulations and on the content of the manual of standards. They are involved in the consultative processes at varying degrees. I accept that some people say they were less involved or more involved, but industry was engaged to the extent that we felt we could engage them. We've provided, as we undertook to industry, a full 12 months of transition, which is one of the reasons we were pushing to try and resolve Part 138, so we would give industry the full year. We know in our previous experience in regulations that the more time we provide, the later the transition happens. We've been training our people and we're trying to train industry as well.
So the transition will commence in December 21 and there'll be a 12-month period from there.
No, it is effective in December 2021. So the training and transition happens now. Like over the next 12 months, people are understanding how they're going to transition. We are explaining to them, if you like, the linkage between the previous regulation and the new regulation, or the linkage between the previous standard and the new standard. We're making sure that our staff in our offices understand that this now means that. We're doing the same thing with industry. We have an extensive public relations and consultation campaign to make sure industry is ready. But I don't think what is in the regulation, which was made a year ago, I think it was a year ago, and what is in the manual of standards that have just been made, are not invisible to industry. They've been aware of them. Been aware of the Part 138 regulation now for more than a year. They know what's in the Part 138 MOS, so there is time, in my view. That's what I'm saying.
There'll be a sense of urgency from the department to get the manuals approved, to get amendments to current certificates if required. You're not going to be, leaving with people without enough time.
I don't believe so, Senator. And we've worked quite diligently to provide enough time. So it'll be challenging.
And you'll be giving that direction to those staff to expedite those. We wouldn't want anybody falling outside or being, having problems in December 2021.
Senator, when we did...
I've just got a final question.
Yep, certainly.
I'm concerned because we've had so many industry witnesses today. I speak to people all around the country who are making these same comments about people who facilitate and people who don't facilitate, and the culture at CASA. I'm reflecting on the fact that Air Services Australia has been through a cultural review. I'm reflecting on the New Zealand Aviation Authority that is also doing a cultural review. Is it time that CASA has a cultural review?
Senator, I don't believe so, but it's probably a matter for others. There will be pockets within any organisation of poor culture. I have had to take action on matters over the last 3 to 4 years when I've run into a cultural problem. I've had to take action on conflict of interest and remove staff. I've had to take small action on gender-related issues and remove staff. You will always in organisations have that. I don't believe there is an entrenched cultural problem. I would say that we have more of a male-dominated organisation and a male-dominated industry, but we've also worked hard. I've got a number of senior level women in the organisation that we've been actively pushing and promoting as we try and improve that balance. So my view is that there is not a cultural problem per se, but you will always find small issues.
I guess it would be interesting to get an independent person to come in and make that assessment, because it's certainly something that's raised over and over at Senate hearings, and it is raised privately across the country. Would the industry be open, would CASA be open to an independent review of that?
I think industry is raising a different cultural question than I'm talking about, Senator. I think they're talking about the culture of the inspectorate and how it deals with them, rather than the culture of the organisation per se. Maybe I'm misunderstanding something. There's an element. There's probably a little bit of both. I mean, from my point of view, I believe that I don't have any issues, and I'm quite happy to speak to the board about that matter. But as I said, you look and you will always find something. But we're a regulator, Senator, and people don't always like what regulators do.
I don't disagree, but I guess it's interesting that we've got other aviation-related organisations that are having reviews currently and have discovered problems, and that you don't believe there's a problem. So we might pursue this at another.
I think Air Services did a review because they discovered they had a problem, Senator. They didn't initiate a review. They had a matter that had to be dealt with, so they had the Broderick review. But Senator, look, I can't defend entirely what I don't know. There'll always be cultural challenges in organisations, and as I said, we're a regulator. There'll be areas where we will conflict.
Senator Sterle has very graciously allowed me to take up his time, but we will be talking to you again, CASA again. So. Thank you for that, Senator Sterle. That does lead us to the end of time. That concludes today's hearings. I do thank all witnesses who have appeared, especially those who have travelled to be here. Thank you also most sincerely to Hansard Broadcasting. And this committee stands adjourned.